great morning. We just finished first week. A lot of learn from our first two matches. Great atmosphere in the Kohl Center. Appreciative of everybody that showed up for the season opening event. Excited to be back in the field house this weekend. I'd say the last day and a half has been a lot of digging into film, and there's just so much to chew on right now that has everybody pretty excited. I thought there was everybody, it's kind of what you'd expect out of the opening weekend. I thought there was a lot of positives that came out of that we're excited about, and a lot of things we've got to get better at with the new crew that hasn't played a lot together. I thought in in-game situations against Kansas, we did a lot of good things there coming down the stretch, and certainly in the fifth set that were real positive, and then in in-game situations against Texas in the first set. We served 3 balls into the net and missed a couple swings that normally we would terminate. And in the second set, a couple hesitation points at some big moments. And then the third set kind of got away from us, I think. When frustration kind of owned us a little bit. So a lot of things to learn from, and got UC Davis and Chicago State on Thursday and Friday. Excited to get back into it.
Questions for Coach Sheffield? John?
Kelly, you were talking about having a lot of irritated people in that locker room after a loss like that. I realize you haven't had a chance to practice after having yesterday off,
Yeah.
But how have you seen kind of this young team respond in kind of 48 hours since such a frustrating loss like that?
It's what you sign up for, not the losses, but you sign up to, when you're choosing to come to a school like this, come and play for a conference like this, you better learn to be resilient, and those are, one thing we were talking to, I don't know if it was our captains yesterday or middles when we were talking with them, but there's an interview that we showed of Kobe Bryant years ago, when they asked him what does losing feel like, and I think everybody was surprised when they heard him say it's exciting. What in the world is Kobe Bryant talking about losing and exciting? What he meant was the process of getting back to work is exciting, because you're digging in, you're trying to figure out what went wrong, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I see that, and yeah, that happens, and you got to pick yourself back up, and you get back to work. That process has to be exciting in order to be elite. And so, they should be irritated because they weren't able to close the deal when the opportunity was there, but you've got to get excited and fired up for what is in front of you. And it's not just the next match, it's the process of getting better between the two matches.
Dennis?
You talked about the offense having to go through the middles this year and maybe trying to bring the slide back into a more major part of your attack. Maybe some of the middles against Kansas were effective, maybe less so against Texas. How do you feel? Was it passing function, or is it an area that you haven't quite got to yet?
We passed a 2.3 and Texas passed a 1.7. We have to win that match when that happens. We had more kills, we had more digs, we had more service aces. You rarely see a team getting swept with the stats that I just said. We aired ourselves out of that match. They played a cleaner volleyball match than what we did. We ran one slide against Texas that was hit out of bounds, and we never went back to it. Slide can be a part of our offense, but when we've got a right back attacker, which for 2 rotations is is Mimi. We put her back there. It's more of an international style, so it doesn't mean that we have to run the slide, because we've got somebody back there in the one zone attacking. But certainly we can run a little bit more than one. Yeah, our middles just weren't effective offensively. I thought defensively they got a lot of great block touches when they weren't stuffing. Part of it was, I don't think it was ball control at all. I think, and I thought the setting was good enough. We were hitting the wrong shots. And we were hitting back into their middle. And instead of getting into the seam and back at their right back. And I think they had a nice film session last night that would kind of show that. And, yeah, I think that would be more effective offensively, I would say, in order to beat a team like that.
Kelly, as a freshman, Charlie kind of walked into a super experienced room. She's setting for National Player of the Year and so on and so forth. And now all of a sudden she's a captain, a sophomore, and kind of leading and working with a ton of new players. How have you maybe seen her adjust into that new role as a sophomore?
Yeah. A lot of really, I see a lot more confident player, a player that's more willing to use her voice. Not that she was immature last year. I would not say that, but you almost need to say that when you're saying I see a more mature player. That doesn't mean it was immature. Just, she's growing, and you're right. She's not the young kid on the block. With that said, hopefully we're able to do some things. I mean, the Kansas match was probably more of a struggle than what we needed to. We had her and Mimi fighting cramps the entire match, and once you start getting cramps, that's a slippery slope. I mean, everybody knows where you're heading to at some point where you're just not able to move, and so hopefully some of our players can learn from that. They get their pickle juice in there throughout the day, so we're not fighting for our health throughout.
Jake.
So Kelly, with Grace Egan, I know that she had said last week that she was committed to another program before y'all called, but what were those conversations like with her in terms of trying to bring her into the program, and just how has she progressed throughout her time, from then to now?
Her getting in the spring was really important. I told her at the end of the spring I didn't think we were getting a player that I thought we were getting. She said that she wanted to go to a different program to play for a higher level, but I felt like the concentration and work ethic was probably was. If you're gonna say that you're gonna go somewhere that in order to compete at a higher level and work harder, then you've got to be part of that equation, right? And I didn't think she was. I thought she came here in the spring and just was more interested in just fitting in. Super talented. And then she got in the preseason, and I think we all just saw a totally different Grace Egan. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, just the work ethic, the seriousness, there's a lightheartedness to her that's a lot of fun, but she backs it up with work, is what we've seen here. She had a great preseason, and then the season opening match, I think she was kind of just, I think she said after the match, hey, I was just trying to be a supportive teammate. I think that comes naturally. Why don't you go over there and take a match over? Show some strength, and you're capable of being an aircraft carrier for us. I mean, she's got the quickest arm I've ever seen, and then you saw her how she responded in Texas. I mean, it was the loss was disappointing, but the stronger feeling that I had actually leaving that match, believe it or not, wasn't the loss. The stronger feeling for me was how Grace Egan responded, because she played like a beast, and for her to bounce back and go into that the next match, when you're looking forward, projecting forward for the season, that is so important how she responded. It was awesome.
John.
first 2 starts for Una, kind of how have you seen her grow into this role? What kind of stood out to you about what she did in the preseason for her to kind of have this spot in the lineup? And how did you think she did first 2 matches?
I mean, she hit for a good percentage. She was our best passer. We scored a lot of points off of her serve. She led all outsides in the Texas match with digs, but yet she's going to see a lot of film of how much she left out there to have. A lot of different. She picked up more digs than any of the outsides or the DSs that came for the outsides on the other side of the net. But that effort has to be consistent, and you know, what we like to joke around is, you know, if you watch the you watch the Eastern Europeans play volleyball, and it's very, very, very physical, but that ball might be just a bit out of range, or it's always the next ball. You know, we're trying to still get her into Midwest defensive mentality of scrappy and pursuing balls a little bit harder. We'll get there, no doubt.
Any last questions?